35 KDAY, Noah Ayala, and I got a legend in the building. He just came out with a new book. The book is incredible. We're about to get into a little bit of his life story, a couple of the gems he has in this book. You may know him as the founder of Rap-A-Lot Records, a Houston hip-hop pioneer. You might know him and his son as the people that helped put Drake on, but none other than j.prince is in the building.
Oh, yeah. How y'all doing?
How you doing, man? You found the right building, so that's good.
Oh, man. I'm glad to be here at KDAY, man.
Man, I feel like there's so much game I'm about to soak up right now in this interview.
Let's do it.
The book, The Art and Science of Respect, is out now. Incredible book. Now, when I first read the book, my initial notion was I thought I was going to go into the book and I was going to learn like more about your life, more about the street tales, more of the music stuff. That's all in there. What I did not expect, though, is that you have these little like one-liners or just nuggets and gems that you can apply to business, to life, to relationships.
Yeah.
It's an incredible book, man.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, man. Everybody, always want my glory and don't know my story.
Right.
So in this book, I had opportunity to really share it all with them. I didn't want them to get bits and pieces, you know what I mean? Or, I happen to go to heaven someday and everybody be able to tell this story for me. So I had opportunity in the art and science of respect. You can get it straight out the horse's mouth.
One of the things I love that you did is you split the book up into two parts. And you, I might be saying it a little bit incorrectly, but it was before that night.
Yeah.
And then after that night. So the first thing I want to find out about is let's talk about everything up until that night. So born and raised in Houston.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up in Houston as a youth?
Always exciting. I'm from Fifth Ward,
Okay.
a place they call a bloody nickel in Houston is, a ghetto. So just like ghettos all over the world, we can imagine how growing up in those places are, a lot of excitement all the time, you know what I mean? I had to swim amongst the sharks. So, you know what I mean? I figured it out and I'm here today.
So, before you got into the more music side of things, what were you kind of into before then, and what made you kind of like say, you know what, I'm gonna leave this alone and go into the music?
Oh, well, I was a entrepreneur ever since I was 8 years old.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I was exercising my entrepreneurship, but eventually, I got laid off a job when I was like 18 or 19 years old, and I hit the streets.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I hit the streets, and I hit the streets pretty heavy. I used to come out here every Tuesday to a club called Paradise.
Okay.
Just to party in L.A., you know what I mean? I remember I partying with Prince and a lot of those guys, but,
Do you have any crazy Prince stories?
Well, I remember the dude had on like some looked like 1 foot high heel shoes or something when I met him. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, he was way shorter than I thought he was, but he was kind of up there. But, my transition, I ended up, making a transition, man, from the streets to corporate America because, I want to be here for my family. I want to be here for my kids, and I understood that was a longevity thing to make that transition because the direction I was headed, was a graveyard or life sentences. I didn't want neither one of them.
Right, and one of the most pivotal parts in the book is you talk about the closet, and what's the exact name of the chapter? The biggest deal I ever made?
Yeah.
So tell me about this deal and why it's the biggest deal you ever made.
Well, the biggest deal I ever made was my transition from the streets to corporate America, and it was the biggest deal I ever made because if I hadn't made that deal, I wouldn't be able to sit here and have this conversation with you. You know what I mean? Because I think, me making that transition saved my life. I don't even think I know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I understand, you reap what you sow.
So we're talking about a night in the closet. I don't want to give too much away. It's in the book, but there's a night, and even when I read it, I got goosebumps a little bit because it was so real the way it was short, but it was so real. I felt it. You're in the closet, your son's in your lap, and you make a deal with God.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a deal based on prayer. You know what I mean? I had been praying, Lord, before you take my freedom, before you take my life, give me a sign. And in that closet, before that closet, he gave me that sign. So I went to the closet to have a conversation with him. And I basically wanted to let him know, God, now I'm used to a certain lifestyle. I'm used to having a certain amount of money. And I'm going to step out by faith in this music game. But I want you to know I need you to bless me with this paper.
Right.
Because I got to have it.
Because I'm sure at that point you're accustomed to a certain lifestyle. I mean, you're used to certain things. And to go from that and then knowing you're only going to have that for a limited time and knowing you got to make a change, that got to be scary.
Yeah, scary and challenging because I had no idea for the next 7 years I was going to be making sacrifices and broke. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, it was that transition and keeping my word where that was concerned that got me blessed beyond my expectations.
So you said the next 7 years you were kind of broke and trying to make it happen. So what happened after the closet? When did Rap A Lot Records come along?
Well, Rap A Lot actually was going on before that. I just wasn't active.
Oh, okay.
Rap A Lot was concerned. I had it in other people's hands. And, Rap A Lot really exploded when I started focusing on Rap A Lot myself because we was losing money at that particular time. But once I was able to apply that same hustle that I was applying in the streets to corporate America,
right,
bam.
And something you said in the book that stuck out to me because even though it was a way different avenue than you took, my brother got me into hip hop too. So if it wasn't for my older brother, I wouldn't be doing this today.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about in the book how like you thought rap was lame at first.
Yeah.
Like a street dude, like, man, I ain't messing with the rappers.
Right.
So how'd your brother convince you to like, hey, get in this music thing, man?
Well, you know what? I convinced him to try and stick with the music thing because I didn't want to see him in the streets. Mm-hmm. So it was my idea. He was rapping in my ear all day, every day. So I'm like, hey, man, I'm going to support you with this rap thing, but give me your word you're going to stay out the streets. So that was the bond that we made and that got me hooked up because eventually, my brother ended up getting a 21-year sentence. Oof. And I had to keep my word with the other guys, and we kept it moving.
Right. Now, when did the artists like the Ghetto Boys weren't the first act? Were they on Rap A Lot? Or when did the Ghetto Boys start to come along? And because I feel like that's what really blew the doors open for Houston.
Yeah, well, actually, the Ghetto Boy name was one of the first acts. I just, skipped over them with a few other artists because of the partner I had at the time was trying a few other groups. And also, it was a few set of Ghetto Boys, so I had to critique it.
So some members got kicked out the Ghetto Boys.
Yeah, most definitely. Definitely when I decided to take over,
Anybody like notable get kicked out the Ghetto Boys that we would know?
No, they not. They wasn't notable.
Well, hey, man, you picked the right three. Bushwick Bill.
Yeah.
Willie D.
Right.
Who, by the way, one of my favorite songs of all time, and I've said this in multiple interviews, is Willie D. Fuck Rodney King.
Yeah.
That shit goes hard.
Yeah.
And Willie D was really angry. I love it.
Yeah.
So what was that like in that era? I mean, what was the grind like? And especially coming from like the situation you came in, because I know there wasn't too many people really checking for Houston. It's, on a hip hop level at that time.
Yeah. No, it was an era where, things was happening on the West Coast and on the East Coast. And mainly on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. And, when we came with that content of music, people wasn't trying to hear it. They weren't trying to embrace it. You know what I mean? New Yorkers booed us because we was cursing. We was, this underground music that you listening to today wasn't acceptable.
Right.
Back then.
And people forget this is pre-internet.
Yeah. So, we was in that era and, we was committed to that. And eventually, in our own backyard, we wasn't accepted because East Coast DJs was monopolizing Houston, Texas at the time. So eventually we figured it out and we made them dudes do like we wanted them to do.
So who else did we get on Rap A Lot? I know Devin the Dude came later. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Pimp C.
Yeah, Big Mike. Bun B.
So how was your relationship with Pimp C?
Oh, man. Me and Pimp was tight. You know what I mean? Everybody that know Pimp know how tight we were. I was one of the guys he would call to get a green light before he go off a lot of times. Yeah. Right. And you know how often he went off on people.
Yeah. J.Prince, I got to keep it way real with you right now. You're so fucking gangster, man. When you walked in here, and I know you live an honest life, you about your business, but everybody in here was like, "Oh, j.Prince is coming up. We gotta be cool. We gotta don't say nothing stupid. Like we don't want the people to run up on us." You're so nice, though, man.
Yeah, I am in real life. You know what I mean? I'm a cool person, man. I don't know why these people think otherwise.
Okay, there's a part in the book, and I wanted to ask you about this person in particular because I didn't know until I read the book that you were actually cool with this person, and he's been in the news because Kanye went to the White House, and one of the names he brought up was like, yo, free Larry Hoover.
Right.
Do you have thoughts on that, or when you saw it, like, what was your reaction, or?
Oh, I thought it was a beautiful thing. It was one of the strongest moves that I ever witnessed Kanye making. And, when I heard it, I was like, whoa. That's big, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. For the brother to even, have the nuts to speak up on something of that magnitude in front of the president. You know, I love that because I have this feeling about, the way the United States of America punish, our brothers and sisters where drugs are concerned and by less violent charges and different things are concerned. I think they're giving away way too much time destroying people's lives.
I saw some stats that said a quarter of black males are incarcerated, and we have more people of color incarcerated than slavery.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
I could believe it. You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's legal slavery.
Yeah.
You know
because they got them in there, and they're working, and they're making the toasters we buy and parts for our iPhone and all types of crazy shit.
No, it's definitely a business, and that's something Larry Hoover, back in 90-something when he and I was on the phone together, this guy's a visionary, and he saw all of this taking place. And if you listen, to the album and listen to the on my Instagram, at j.prince respect, you hear us talking about that situation, back then, and he was accurate. Yeah.
So he really turned his life around, man.
Yeah.
And and it's one of the things that we had Gary Vaynerchuk in here, and me and him were talking about how we share the same sense that if you're a drug dealer, you're moving weight, whatever you're doing, really, you're a Fortune 500 company CEO. Like you have the same tools and wisdom and game that can propel you in the business world, and the art and science of respect. You're perfect example of that, man.
Yeah, no, it's real, and and that's one of the things I wrote about in my book is to try and inspire and encourage the brothers that's in the streets to apply that same hustle in corporate America because they're some of the most brilliant people in the world and don't know it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, there's so much stuff to cover. So one of the things I wanted to cover too is Drake did an interview recently with LeBron James. He kind of brought back up the Pusha T thing. I gotta be real with you, J.Prince. Was there really a diss track? Because I told everybody I don't think there was really a diss track.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. You know what I mean? I've said over and over again, with the ingredients that Drake had in that track, he had to really, their careers would have been damaged.
Right.
Yeah, definitely my man Kanye. You know what I mean? I didn't even want to see him go there because...
and you said Kanye called you.
Yeah.
Oh, so Kanye was like, please don't let this out.
Yeah.
Please.
Well, I mean, Kanye, he didn't call just pleasing. He just told me, man, I'm a family man. You know what I mean? So I understood what that meant.
And as much as I guess the hip hop sides and all of us wanted to see that battle, I think the reasonable side, the side that knows, that ultimately it's a business and we want people to prosper and live healthy lives and enjoy their families. We know it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's
true. We were just kind of mad at you for that.
Everybody won.
So the other question that I really wanted to ask, just to get your opinions on, is I feel like this new era of hip hop, right? Mm-hmm. It's like part of the package to be a new artist or be a new rapper is you have to troll. Like you have to be online. You got to talk shit. I'm not saying you have to do that to make a way, but it seems like that's what everybody's seeming to do. You coming from the era, you come from the cloth you're cut. How do you feel about that? Like, you think it's bad for the game?
Well, I mean, I actually love what's taking place where the youth are concerned right now. You know what I mean? I like the hustle and everything that's going on, and we're in a new era, so it's kind of hard for me to place everything that's going on back then, with all the access, they have to different things right now. You know what I mean? It's hard to compare the two. But, as I always, I say it over and over again, I just like to see less pill popping with the youth right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they would figure out a way to live and enjoy the fruits of their labor, then I'm all right with all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's coming from somebody who's seen it all. I mean, of course, Houston. We know what Houston's known for.
Yeah.
The lean,
Yeah.
the sipping, and then Pimp passed because of that.
Yeah.
What was that like when you got the news of that?
Oh man, a heartbreaking moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I had visited Pimp when he was in the penitentiary, and these are things that we, strategized on and said we're not gonna never allow this to take place in our world again. So for that to be the cause,
Yeah.
mind blowing.
Yeah, and I feel like it was at a point too where Pimp C was about to. I feel like the whole country was starting to, myself included, we were really starting to learn who he was and what he did for the game. And then,
yeah, he was right out here.
Man, Pimp C, rest in peace, man. The Art and Science of Respect, j.prince. Get the book. There's so much stuff in here. One thing I want to mention too is, hold up. You had some sick ass outfits back in the day. I need this. I don't know if we can get this on camera. You see the Fila jumpsuit? I don't know which camera.
Yeah.
Woo! How much money were you spending on clothes back then? But you was really out there trying to go hard.
Yeah, them Fila, I think they went for $600.
Woo!
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, but back then that was a nice little stack.
Hold on, there's a picture of Mr. Prince and his Gators. How much were those Gators? Those can't be cheap.
About a G over a G, something like that.
Damn.
Yeah.
What were we whipping around in back then? We was whipping around in the, what is that, the Mercedes?
Yeah.
With the, damn. So clean. So clean. All right. Yeah, this is so dope. The other thing I'm going to ask you about, because I know it happened a couple of months ago, but it involved your son with Tekashi in Houston. Is that really a big deal, or is we as media people making this shit way overhyped than what it needs to be?
Yeah, I think they've given that way too much attention. You know what I mean? Some people turn misdemeanors into felonies. You know what I mean? And that's so misdemeanor.
Right.
You know what I mean? They, I tell everybody, if you keep campaigning, you're going to get elected. Right? So, that eventually, my man going to get elected if he keep campaigning.
And I feel like, to be honest, and I'm not trying to encourage anything. That's not what I'm about. But I feel like you messing with the Prince family. If they really wanted you to be elected, they're going to get the votes.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right. So you said j.prince Respect on Instagram.
Yeah.
Book is in stores now.
Yeah, Barnes & Noble. You can buy it at Amazon. You know what I mean? I done the audio version, narrated by me. You can get that at Tidal. It's everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, okay. There's one more thing I got to hit on, because there's a part in the book I love, man, because it's so interesting. And you've been pretty vocal about this. You have you've had an ongoing issues with the Houston Police Department.
Yeah, not only the Houston Police Department, all the alphabet boys.
The DEA, CIA, ATF.
All of them had issues with me and tried to destroy, myself and Rap A Lot Records for years.
You're talking about at one point where they tried to say you gave money, like $200,000 to Al Gore or something like that?
Yeah, imagine that. I tell everybody I'd rather ride through the hood and throw it all out in $100 bills in the hood than give it to somebody I don't know.
It's just so crazy to me how someone from the Fifth Ward could put it down so hard, grind so hard, make all this noise, whether it be, whatever avenue, to get on the radar of politicians.
Yeah.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah. No, it's a heck of a thing to see the United States of America versus your name, to become a target to them. So when you survive those kind of attacks, then you can't give credit to nobody but God.
Damn, you got to have some hell of a lawyers, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the other thing, too. My boy j.prince, this is a real Teflon Don. 12 cases, none of them stuck. Give it up. Give it up. You know what I'm saying? Free like OJ all day. Anyway, man, thank you for coming through. It's always dope to have a legend.
Hey, man.
j.prince
having me
in the building.
Yeah.
935 KDAY.